That's really cool. All right, perfect. Maybe some of the other.
Yeah.
What word?
Yeah, I wish this thing was a little taller though. But I can compensate with the angle.
All right, we're ready to kick it off here. Thank you. Frank Schuderman, can you get some of the stuff, construction over there for me? Yeah, right. No, thank you everyone for coming. Climate change is not an issue, it's a crisis. It's an emergency, it demands an immediate and urgent response. And it's encouraging to me that so many people have stepped forward to indicate that, and that movement is growing. What I'm doing next is when I leave this press conference, I'm beginning the first trek of my journey through France, where I'll walk from Normandy to Paris, starting on Omaha Beach. And there is significance to that because it was back in the 1940s that our country did something big and great in response to a crisis. We had this incredible economic transformation where in a year's time, the whole country was mobilized to fight a crisis that seemed intractable at the time. And climate change is the crisis of this century, as Rob Hogan stated so precisely in his book, American Climate Century. And we need to start treating it that way. And we need the presidential candidates to step up their game. And they're all over the board on it. There are some who are still in denial. There are some, like Lindsey Graham, he gets it. He knows we've got to do something. I talked to him the other day. And certainly on the Democratic side, we have some solid proposals. But our concern is it needs to go further, it needs to be quicker. And it's really encouraging to me that 9 Iowa elected officials have signed the pledge to mobilize. The pledge to mobilize is a national effort to initiate a World War II scale mobilization of our economy to switch from fossil fuels to renewables, and to do it quickly, to do it by 2025. And that's based on science. Science is saying we need to move that fast. So if science is saying that we need to move that fast, we need to do it. And we can do it. We've done it before. We can do it again. And so again, I'm really encouraged that so many elected officials in Iowa have stepped forward. Not here today, but also supporting the pledge to mobilize the state representatives Ruth Ann Gaines, Marty Anderson, Akeo Abdul Samad, and Mary Masher from Iowa City. Also signing the pledge, but not able to make it today, Councilman Skip Moore here from Des Moines, Councilwoman Susan Mims from Iowa City, and Johnson County Supervisor Mike Carberry. So my hat's off to all those brave elected officials who have stepped forward and said, yeah, we're gonna push this. And again, a lot of what I think we can do here in Iowa right now is push our presidential candidates to take that same kind of leadership role. So I want to share the pledge with you real quick. I'll just read it, and then we'll hear from the 3 elected officials who are here. It says, I call on the United States government to immediately commence a social and economic mobilization to restore a climate that is safe, stable, and supportive of human civilization. This heroic campaign shall be carried out on the scale of the American World War II home front mobilization, and will require hard work and shared sacrifice from all Americans. Secondly, we call on the U.S. government to reduce our country's net greenhouse gas emissions 100% by 2025, and implement far-reaching measures to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. 3, we call on the U.S. government to enlist tens of millions of Americans in efforts to rapidly expand our carbon-neutral energy and agricultural system, to conduct groundbreaking research and implement large-scale adaptation measures. As in World War II, full employment will be achieved. 4, we conduct this mobilization in accordance with the U.S. Constitution and ensure that the essential needs of the civilian economy are met during this time of transition. And finally, we call on the U.S. government to establish the following imperatives as our nation's top foreign policy priorities: a 100% reduction of global net greenhouse gas emissions at 4 times speed, and the deployment of comprehensive measures that remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere until a safe climate is restored. That's what needs to happen, folks, and again, more and more, it's encouraging to see folks like State Senator Rob Hogue, State Representative Dan Kelly, Mayor Frank County, and others stepping forward. I do want to thank all the other people who showed up. I know so many people here are involved with great work. The Indianola Green Committee, and Women's International League, and Peace and Freedom, and David Carrara-Ree, who was one of the leading scientists behind the effort to have Iowa scientists weigh in every year on the climate crisis. And I'm sure I missed somebody hiding behind that sign standing gun. And I want to also say too that I did personally invite the 3 Democratic candidates' campaigns to send representatives here today. So I want to thank the Sanders people for showing up. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce State Representative Dan Kelly.
Thank you very much, Ed. Let's give Ed a big round of applause and wish him the best of luck as he heads to Climate change is a crisis. It's a crisis that requires this mobilization, and I'm very proud to sign this pledge today. When we tackle the challenges of climate change, we create opportunities. We create opportunities in jobs, in renewable energy, in wind, solar, hydroelectric, biodiesel, ethanol, and so forth. My community of Newton has had a great opportunity to benefit from many of those jobs, particularly in the wind industry, and we're very grateful for those opportunities. So again, I'm very proud to sign this pledge today. I'm very proud to stand up here with Ed and Rob and Frank and sign it, and want to thank all of you for coming out today for this very important effort. Thank you.
Congratulations to your royals, man. Next, Frank County is no stranger to folks in Des Moines, and actually he's not really a stranger to people nationally who are working on the climate issue. He's been a leader across the country, and I'm really proud to have you here today, Frank.
Well, it's good to see people on national campaigns here. We know what we're doing statewide. We know what we're doing locally. We need to do more. I'll tell you, we've come a long way in the last 10 years. It used to be that everybody would reach out. It seemed like everybody, right, and say we were really off the mark, that there wasn't any problem, and that we ought to just get over it. And here we are 10 years later, and I think we are realizing that there is a global initiative to try to get some things done. And I know that Ed is going to Paris, and I also am going to Paris as a local government delegate to the COP, and we're going to see what we can do to move forward the initiatives at the local level, because we know that
That is a reference to the
that
climate
are
summit
climate
taking
related
place in
happen
Paris.
someplace, and it usually is a locality. In Iowa, it is often heavy rains and floods and tornadoes. Coastal regions, it can be hurricanes and storm surges and sea level rise. And that causes lots of issues just with business, industry, and where people live. But at the end of the day, there's also huge changes in our atmosphere, in our water supply, in our food supplies, and we have to address all of those things. And we need to step forward immediately and try to attain some of these goals that are in this pledge that we're going to sign here shortly. And it is imperative that we start at the base level. Young people get it really quickly. So education is going to be very, very important. And we need to move it forward in Iowa. We need to move it forward in the United States. We need to move it forward worldwide. And I want to thank everybody for supporting these efforts. Des Moines has moved forward. We've got some great examples right here in our city of this city and our businesses, some of our neighborhoods leading by example with their individual efforts to try to ensure this issue. Let's all move forward. Let's try to do something about climate change, and it has to start today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you for, again, congratulations on your re-election by a sweeper margin of 83%.
True.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit closer next time. This is exciting. When we walked across the country last year, and Sherry Hardini here was kind of my right-hand person in that effort, we went 3,100 miles, and everywhere we went, we found people who knew this guy. So usually politicians come to Iowa when they're running for office, and Rob goes elsewhere because he's so passionate about the climate crisis. And he's actually written a book as well called America's Climate Century. Really proud to have you as a friend, and that you're from Iowa, and that you found this place to mobilize. Welcome.
Thank you, Ed. Well, good morning, everybody. I am Rob Hogue. I'm a state senator from Cedar Rapids. And today I am signing the Climate Mobilization Pledge because the climate change challenge is so important and so urgent, and because we have so many solutions that work to create jobs, grow businesses, help farmers, improve our health, and save consumers money. The climate change issue is urgent. We are already feeling the real effects of climate change around the world, and the science is clear that this problem will get worse based on the greenhouse gas pollution we already have in the atmosphere. And the reality is our greenhouse gas levels continue to go up, and what we need is an urgent, all-out effort led by the United States of America on a global basis to try to stop carbon dioxide levels from going over 425 parts per million. We're at 400 parts per million today. We know the safe level of the atmosphere is 350 parts per million, and we need to act urgently on this issue. I also am pleased today to announce that next week I will begin a Climate Solutions Tour to go around the state, Cedar Rapids, Pella, Coon Rapids, Carroll, Ames, Decorah, and Charles City, to highlight the solutions that we have that are already working in Iowa and that we need more of. Solar power, wind power, electric vehicles, energy efficient green buildings, advanced biofuels, and land management to sequester carbon dioxide and to build carbon resilience. We are also here today in front of the federal building because we urgently need Congress to join the fight against climate change. And there are 4 specific things Congress could do this year to help join the fight against climate change. Number 1, reinstate the wind energy tax credit that has done so much for our economy and our environment in Iowa, but that expired last December 31st. We need to reinstate the wind energy tax credit. That's number 1. Number 2, we need to extend the George W. Bush solar energy tax credit that will expire in 2016 unless Congress acts. And we need Congress to act before the tax credit expires so that that industry is not hurt. We need that industry to continue its rapid growth. Number three, we need Congress to support the EPA's Clean Power Plan. It is a regulatory device that sets as a minimum targets for states to reduce greenhouse gas pollution, and we need Congress to stop trying to repeal the Clean Power Plan and start supporting the Clean Power Plan. And finally, we need Congress to speak up and say we want a strong international agreement in Paris to be negotiated next month, because we need the United States of America to lead the world to deal with this problem. And finally, I want to tell Iowans something, how you can help. Every Iowan can be involved in this effort. We need you to get more informed, more involved, do more, and speak up more. And between now and February 1st, we need Iowans to talk to presidential candidates. It is our unique opportunity as Iowans and our unique obligation as Iowans to talk to the candidates about climate change. Every presidential candidate in the 21st century needs a plan to address climate change, and not just a plan, but a plan that tells us how effective it will be in limiting the future damage and dangers of climate change. As I mentioned a moment ago, If we led an urgent all-out effort globally on this issue, we could slow down, stop, and reverse the buildup of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in our atmosphere and safeguard our people and our property from the real dangers of climate change. Climate change is already causing real costs and real consequences for people. Think about the floods in South Carolina, the floods in Texas, the floods in Iowa, the heat, the drought, and the wildfires out west. These are real consequences for real people. Extreme storms, floods, droughts, ecological disruptions, wildfires, ocean acidification, sea level rise. We need to act urgently on this issue, so I'm excited to be here today to sign this pledge, and together we can build a safe, healthy, peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable future for all Americans. So thank you for being here. And Ed, are we ready to sign the pledge?
Almost.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. I want to read a brief statement from Mike Carberry, the Johnson County Supervisor, who also signed the pledge for 2 years. Mike says, the jury is in, climate change is real, mankind is the culprit, and we are sentenced to do something about it before it's too late. Climate change is the challenge of this generation, and we will be judged by future generations on how we decide to deal with this moral crisis. Let's not be found guilty by the future when we can mobilize action now and fight like our future depends on it, because it does. I think Mike might have been the first elected official in Iowa to sign the pledge. So again, thank you everyone for coming. Before we actually sign it, I want to remind folks that everybody has a role to play here. There's lots of great groups doing work too. I'm glad to see Jacob with Next Gen here. Jen's doing great work on this. Danny Dunn's doing some great work through whatever. I know CCL and
CCI.
And there's lots of groups doing good work. Get involved with one of them. But when it comes to the mobilization itself, we can use more volunteers. George there is amazing. He's collected over 50 people to sign the pledge. That's just amazing. I'm so impressed. And we also have people who are bird jogging the candidates, asking the presidential candidates to step up to the plate on this issue. And we've also done 3 what we call Rosie the Riveter actions, reminding people that back in World War II, everybody got involved. Rosie the Riveter rolled up her sleeve, put on her red bandana, and helped transform the economy. And we have people who've been going to events, including Laura, and a lot of other folks who've been doing that to try to remind candidates that we have this capacity. It's not a technical problem, it's a political problem. So, again, please get involved in whatever way you can. This is not an issue, it's a crisis, and our opportunity in Iowa to really make a difference on this, to really have a loud voice right now. Okay, so without any further ado, we're going to ask Dan and Frank and Rob to step forward and sign the pledge to mobilize. Make sure you leave enough room for everyone else.
All right, excited.
Thank you.
Candidates for other offices who signed on and will be accepting that block of supporters probably after the talk. Any questions from the press while we're not quite wrapped up? Yes.
Will you be asking the presidential candidates to sign it as well?
Yes, we have been asking them.
And they agree? No?
There's some interest. I mean, basically Hillary Clinton said back in 2007 almost exactly what we're asking for here. So there's a precedent for her to, I think, want to sign it. Senator Sanders has come out with a pretty positive statement on climate, but again, not fast enough, not urgent enough. As has Governor O'Malley. We like what he's talking about with the restructuring of the electric grid. The timeline is just of concern because it's too slow. But so we've I know. And what we want to do is get all of them to officially sign on to indicate the urgency of it. And I mean, I've talked 4 times with Senator Sanders myself, and I know other people have talked with him, and I know folks have been talking with O'Malley. I've probably had, I think, 4 conversations with him as well. So, again, it's encouraging to see that. Now, the Republican side is the difference. You know, I'm hoping there are Republicans who sign on as well. Certainly, there's a couple I've talked to that understand that climate change is urgent, it's man-made, and needs an immediate response. So maybe we'll see some progress on that side as well. Ultimately, it needs to be a bipartisan solution. Lindsey Graham, talking to him the other day, he was actually pretty solid. So, anyone else? All right,
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, I'm off to the fair summit.
Well, that will do it for this little action. I will be back live at 3 p.m. Central for a Million Mask March, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the stream.